great to be here. Thank you, President Montres. Thank you to Vice Chairman Page, to the faculty, professors, the Board of Regents, and all the UNLV VIPs, parents, grandparents, and most of all, the graduating class of 2013. You are well represented here. I thought Danny, I didn't understand anything Danny said, but it seemed nice. I'm sorry your mother is homeless because you wanted to go to college. I'm excited to be at the Thomas and Mack Center, where as a young man I had the privilege of watching the great coach Jerry Tarkanian and his running Rebels best many a foe and eat many a towel. You know, sitting in the student section for those games were some of the best times of my life, and I want to congratulate Tark on his long overdue induction into the Basketball Hall of Fame and on the statue that will bear his likeness outside this arena. Like many of you, I grew up here in Las Vegas. I lived about 3 miles from here, just off the corner of Spring Mountain and Torrey Pines. I went to Clark High School and Kenny Gwynn Junior High School. My parents moved us here from Brooklyn when I was 9 years old. My father worked at Sumo Corporation, which was a company owned by Howard Hughes. My mother was a hooker. That's a typo, homemaker. Sorry, Mom. I enrolled at UNLV in the fall of 1985. At that time, by the way, we were allowed to drink on campus, which is probably why I have almost no memory of attending classes here. I was a student for 1 year plus summer school, and I honestly didn't remember how I did academically, so I asked for my transcript before this event. These are my actual grades from my time at school here. 1985, 86, English 101, Composition 1, I got a B. English 102, Composition 2, C+. English 104, Masterpieces of Literature, A. Thank you. General Psychology, C. Introduction to American Politics, D. And that was that for a grade point average of 2.368. Rounded up, that's 3.6, right? I wasn't good at math either, but I wasn't a great student. In fact, the fact of the matter is I worked harder on this speech than I did on all the homework assignments I had at UNLV combined. And I wrote this in the car on my way over here. But that is part of what makes this day so great. This honor that I'm so grateful to be given today, not only is it very satisfying for me personally, what makes it most satisfying is that it renders everything that all of you have worked for meaningless. I had a 2.368 and now I'm a doctor. Finally, when someone asks, is there a doctor in the house? I can say yes, and then stand there and watch them die. I got my start in broadcasting at this school, that is true. When I was in high school, I worked at a store called Miller's Outpost, selling shrink-to-fit jeans and parachute pants. I started work on my 16th birthday. I worked my way up to assistant manager of the shoe department at Miller's. There was no manager, but I was the assistant to no one. There was a guy who worked there with me. He was a student at UNLV, and one day he said, "You're funny, you know, I work on the college radio station, you should be on it." He said, "Come down and talk to the program director." So I did. I was 17. I made the journey over Maryland Parkway to this very non-commercial radio station, KUNV. At that time, KUNV mostly played traditional jazz, but at night and on the weekends, when the students took over, it was very non-traditional, avant-garde, androgynous, terrible, terrible music, which intimidated me because my idea of underground music at that time was Huey Lewis and the News. But I met with the program director, and he asked me, "So what do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, what I would really like is to make fun of people." And he said, "Okay, we have an opening on Sunday night. Bring people in and make fun of them." So that's what I did. I went through the yellow pages. I went through every page of the yellow pages, and the first guest I settled on was a guy who called himself the hairstylist to the stars. I called him and asked if I could interview him on the radio. He said yes, so on Sunday night at 9 p.m., there I was asking this guy about celebrity hairstyling. It turned out that the hairstylist to the stars had only worked with one star, and that was John Davidson. You don't remember John Davidson? Exactly. So for the next half hour, I asked questions about John Davidson's hair. It was really great. And then after the show, I said goodbye to the hairstylist. I looked around, the radio station was very quiet. No one congratulated me. No one said anything because no one was even there. Everyone had left. So I drove home in my mother's giant station wagon. And when I walked in the door, my parents, who'd been sitting next to the radio listening, burst into applause. And I was hooked at that moment. I come from a very loud Italian family. And the idea that my parents were listening to me in any way was very, very exciting. So now I'm totally obsessed with this little show. I'd spend the whole week tracking down guests, mostly guys who did local commercials here, like Mordecai the jeweler. Hello, I am Mordecai. If you find a lower price anywhere for the same quality merchandise, I will refund the difference to you in cash. He's not around anymore. There was another guy, Fred, from GMF Motors, who did these commercials where he would pick up hitchhikers and then sell them the car that he picked them up in. He'd say, if I can finance him, and I will, I can finance you. I was 17 years old and I weighed about 115 pounds. I was on the radio making fun of these adult men, and I loved it. So after about 5 weeks, the program director, a guy named Ken Jordan, called me into his office and told me that I was fired. And I said, but I'm not getting paid. How can I be fired? So then he explained how it would work. I would stop coming in, and that would really just be that. And what I didn't know then was that that was the first of many firings I enjoyed over the course of my radio career. After KUNV, I was fired from stations in Phoenix, in Seattle, in Tampa, and in Tucson. I was fired in 5 of the 7 cities I worked in. But I loved being on the air so much, I never even thought about giving up. It wasn't that I was brave or determined or laser focused. I just wanted to be on the radio. And I didn't like the idea of having to do anything else. But back to school, after my first year at UNLV, my father lost his job. It's a hereditary thing. And we had to move to Arizona, which is where they send people. And when I got to Arizona, my parents enrolled me in Arizona State, and I started... This doesn't make any sense. By the way, why do we have subtitles and sign language? Mr. President, this is kind of wasteful spending that we could... No offense. I like that you have to say no offense to yourself. I'm tempted right now to make her say a lot of horrible things. So anyway, I get to Arizona and I start calling radio stations and asking DJs to put me on the air. And eventually, as a result of this, I did get a paying job in Seattle on a morning radio show. And I was thrilled, but my father wasn't, because he wanted me to stay and finish college. He even tried to bribe me to stay. He offered me $200 a week, which for him was a lot. I mean, this is a man whose idea of fine dining was the $2 buffet at the Stardust Hotel. We'd go to these buffets. If I come back with a plate of mashed potatoes, he'd yell at me. He'd say, "That's what they want you to eat. You know how much those cost? That whole plate, maybe 5 cents. Go get some roast beef. Stuff a few of those shrimp in your pocket for the way home." My father did not throw money around, and it turned out it didn't matter, because I never intended to graduate college. I did not take it seriously. At one time, the teacher, who had enough of my shenanigans, in the middle of class, she pulled me out in the hall and she said, "You are disrupting this class. These students are here to learn." And I remember thinking, they are? And it never occurred to me. I thought we were there to get it over with, like traffic school or the DMV or something. I was there to get through it. I was focused on the next thing, which it turns out is not a great way to think. Right now, as graduates, you might be thinking, I need a plan for my life. You know what kind of people have plans for their lives? Hitler had a plan for his life. Martha Stewart had a plan for her life. Her plan was to make centerpieces out of mason jars filled with lima beans, but still, it was a plan. I don't think you need to have a plan for your life, but you do need to have a plan for Wednesday. What are you gonna do on Wednesday? You can take tomorrow off, you'll probably be hungover. And Tuesday, no one gets anything done on Tuesday, so don't bother. It's Wednesday you have to worry about. So figure that out and go from there. I know I'm supposed to say something wise, but as I mentioned, I didn't really go to college, so. There are a few things I do know for sure, and I've written them down. I know that not everyone can have a fun job. If everyone had a fun job, we'd have no swimming pools. I know that you should never ever go to Circus Circus. I know that the only way to be completely done with your laundry is to do it naked. And I know that no one has ever had fun on a paddle boat. Looks good from the lake, but once you're in it, there's nothing there. And that's it, that's all I know. Actually, no, I do have something wise to say. Graduating class of 2013, you are about to go out into the world and take your place as responsible citizens. And as you do go out into the world, I offer you these words of advice. Don't go out into the world. Take it from me, I've been out, the world is no place to go into. For one thing, there are no jobs in the world. Unless your dream is to foam milk. And even if there were any jobs, you're not qualified to fill any of them. The world already has plenty of people doing all the stuff you want to do. And they're better at it because they have experience. So don't go out in the world. The world is just like school anyway. The dumb good-looking guys still get all the girls. The popular girls still get all the attention. By the way, you owe China $15 trillion. Instead of going out in the world, make your own little world. Make your own weird little world and live in it. Build a fort under the staircase at your parents' house. And stay there. Is that not good advice? Now go out in the world. The world is fun. They have pizza in the world. Today you did what very few people do. You earned a college degree, and more importantly, you finished something. That's hard, that's rare. I've been working on finishing the box set of Downton Abbey for like 2.5 years now. Keep that up, finish things. Anyone can start something. That's the fun part. The key part is to finish. So my message to you today is finish. Okay? I'm finished. Oh. And don't hang around with anyone who says that's what she said. In fact, can we not give him a diploma? All right. Whatever you decide to do it well, be as good as you can possibly be, and see it through. And if you don't like it, do something else. Look at me, I started out as a DJ and now I'm a doctor. I am both baffled and honored to have been asked to speak here today. I wish each of you success and happiness and all the luck this very lucky city has to offer. Today is your graduation day. Enjoy it. Unlike me, you earned it. Thank you and congratulations to the class of 2013.